Welcome back to the Art and Yoga and Wellness Podcast. I'm your host, Kira Whitaker. In today's video, I'm going to go over all things summer, some shifts and changes within the business of Art and Yoga and Wellness, some things that I want to do in my own personal time in my health and wellness, some things that I just am really wanting to do for fun, ways you can get a hold of me this summer, where you can find me, and a few other things. So head on over to today's video and we'll talk all things summer. Welcome back to the Art and Yoga and Wellness Podcast. I'm your host, Kira Whitaker. Welcome back, you guys. Today's episode is going to be kind of I don't want to say a life update because I honestly don't really have anything to update you guys on. It's going to be more of like what's on the horizon, summer, school's out for summer, what are we planning on doing episode. And I'm just going to fill you guys in on some things. So not last episode, but a few episodes ago, I went over the behind the scenes of a few of my main offers. Well, my only two offers, I offer a lot of things, health coaching and yoga. And I just went over what those look like. One of the reasons that I did those episodes, well, multiple reasons. One main reason was just to clarify, just to make sure that I talk about all these different topics week to week, but I wanted to make sure that the bread and butter of my business and what I do outside of the podcast, it was really clear and made sure that I, talked about it. Another reason that I wanted to talk about it was because with summer upon us, I will work a little bit more remotely than I do during the school year. So fall and winter months. So I wanted to make sure that everyone knew what that looked like as far as support goes, because in the summer, last summer was the first time I ever did this, but I pulled back quite a bit on my in-person hours for multiple reasons. So moving towards now, not 3 episodes ago, I'm going to go over some of the shifts that I'll be making at the studio coming up, some changes with the podcast, some things that I'm planning personally to focus on, and some kind of wants that I'd like to be able to pursue and check off of my list this summer, how to stay in touch with me this summer. So with there being some shifts and changes for a couple of months, how you can still be in the know, how you can still follow along, how we can communicate. And then I will send you on your way because I'm determined after this episode is done to get a workout in before I pick our daughter up from school. So as far as the studio goes, most of you at this point know that I am in person with my yoga therapy clients 2 days a week, which is very different than I used to be 5 days a week. Then it went down to 4, then 3. It's remained 2 days a week this past year, which has been really, really great. There's always hours that I could add, especially when we have a wait list. But as far as balance and podcast and online clients and the behind the scenes of my business, this feels like a really good balance for now. So this summer, and I will be sending out, by the time this podcast episode airs, my clients will know this. I haven't told anybody yet just because I just decided on it literally like 2 hours ago. But this summer, I'm going to go down to just 1 day a week. One reason for that is a lot of my clients will be traveling. And so it's just an easier way to condense the schedule down. And I really want to spend more time with my kids. Last summer, I didn't work in person at all for 2 months. Everything was remote. And I really, really loved being on the farm and hanging with my kids. And next year, I will have 2 middle schoolers. And so I think those days they're not coming to an end, but I know that they will be far and few between with them being older and being teenagers. They probably are not going to want to spend as much time with me. And so I want to soak it up while I can. So that's studio. I will still be taking online clients per application only. And those are pretty much the same as always. I'll go through charts, I'll go through files, I'll go through applications, history and physicals, look at referrals, and just see if I think people are a good fit. If not, I'll refer them to somebody else. So that pretty much, health coaching is going to stay the same. Since it's remote already, that never really has to change. The podcast. So I've really been thinking a lot about the podcast. The podcast is a little over a year old. I think this might be episode 64, 65, which is mind blowing. We have not missed 1 week since we started. But I've also kind of learned a lot about me as a podcast host. I've learned things that I wouldn't have known unless I started a podcast. A couple of those things being aligning schedules for guests is way trickier than I thought it was going to be because my schedule is so booked out months ahead of time. And then you try to combine your schedule and get your schedule to complement somebody else's. And that's really, really difficult. I've also learned that for whatever reason, my personality has a really hard time batching any sort of content. I'm so in the moment. And if something happens in real time in the studio or with some sort of continuing education that I have had, or if it's something in my own health and wellness journey that I've experienced that I feel like could be impactful to share, I'd like to have the freedom to do that in real time. And so I think I've definitely had a hard time batching podcast episodes for that reason, but I also see the value in batching it. I know our team, the production team right now is like, you're the worst, Kira, because it makes their life easier when I batch. So kind of those learnings from the podcast, the whole, you don't know what you don't know. I also I'm toying around with multiple ideas with the podcast. I have multiple friends who have very successful podcasts that do seasons. So they don't do every week. They do a precise season over a topic or just a season in general, take a break, relaunch for the next season. I have friends that do private podcasts. So you might get a little bit of the podcast for free on whatever platform you listen, and then you get a more in-depth, long-form video version in some sort of container, whether it be Patreon or a membership. And so I actually have a meeting with our podcast producer, Kate, tomorrow, and we're going to just go over ideas. And I could honestly leave it the way it is. There's nothing wrong with it. But I definitely want to look at the podcast, look at ways it could be enhanced, look at ways it can, serve more people and definitely, be optimized and enhanced and cleaned up. And so for this summer, we may go down to fewer episodes. We may do releases of older episodes, relaunch them because we have such an abundance now. I know if you're looking at Dear Media podcasts and Joe Rogan that have just thousands upon thousands, you're like, 65 is not a large number. But a year and a half ago, when I was launching this podcast, even getting a trailer out seemed like such a big accomplishment and such a big hill to climb. And so the fact that we are past 50 episodes and we haven't missed 1 week and the production is so great thanks to our team and the graphics, and it's done so well. We have a YouTube channel. It feels like a huge, huge accomplishment, and I'm really proud of it. And we have this long library now. What feels like to me 65 episodes feels like a lot of episodes. We may relaunch some of those. So some of the ones that did really well or some of the ones that feel relevant to the summer. So I'll definitely keep you guys posted on what we're going to do with that. But I'm thinking about how we might transition for the summer, just for the summer. And then what would that look like August 1st when I kind of dive back into my normal life. Normal life for me is the school year. When the kids go back to school, that's when I'm like, okay, we're back to our routine. We're back to our schedule. Summer for me is a little bit looser. It's a different season. So those are some of the ideas I'm toying around with the podcast. If you have any recommendations or opinions, I would love to hear them. Truly, let me know. The next thing that I want to go over is just what I hope to say yes to by saying no to some of these things. So by saying no to one of my work days in person, by saying maybe no to as many podcast episodes this summer, what do I want to say yes to? What do I want to fill that time with? And not to say you have to fill your time definitely slowing down is so appreciated and needed. We all need to do it. But I definitely have some things I want to do. I want to play pickleball with my kids. Willow taught us how to play pickleball when we went to Arizona for spring break, and it was so fun. We were doing it every morning as a family after breakfast and in the afternoons. And so our house that we have in Monteagle actually has a pickleball and tennis court in our community. And so I've already bought the rackets. They're up there. I cannot wait. So just doing fun things with my kids, but active things. My husband yesterday was saying he wanted to get the kayaks out and cleaned up and ready to go. My kids are river rats. They love to be in the river all summer long. And I'm talking overnight camping on the riverbank. They love it. So definitely just kayaking, doing things that are really fun and active with my family. I want to pay attention to our horses. One of our horses is so out of shape right now. We've had so much rain this spring. It's been really, really hard to do anything productive with him, but I want to pay him attention. I want to get him back in shape because he's not. I've got a trip coming up this summer with a couple of my friends and their husbands, and I'm so excited about it. So I really want to be able to prepare for that and soak it up and just be really, really, really plugged in and present for that. I've got books I want to read. As you all know, I love to read, but reading has definitely taken a back seat this spring because this spring was really, really full with our family and our kids. And I can't believe I'm saying this out loud. Who is she? I want to learn how to make sourdough bread. I've got all of the stuff, I've got everything. I just have to activate my starter. One of my good friends has mastered the whole process. She's going to show me. And I want to try to make sourdough. That's also on my list for this summer. I said it. I meant it. I'm going to try it. I could decide that it's not for me and it's stupid and I hate it. Or every single one of my in-person clients, August 1st, when you come back, could be receiving a complimentary loaf of sourdough bread made by the hands of yours truly. So we'll see about that. And then I think that's pretty much all I'm really hoping to do this summer. But those are kind of the main things that I'm picturing, I'm envisioning when I think about my optimal vision of the summer. And then ways that you can stay in touch with me. So let's say every week, and again, I haven't decided, we're not doing the podcast or we're even doing some of those older episodes. The best way to stay up to date with me is via the email list. The email list it's never going away. We have had our email list since day one, since we opened our doors 12 years ago. That's how podcast announcements come out. That's how offerings come out. That's how occasionally I'll just send emails out as check-ins like, hey, here's what I've got going on. I used to do a monthly newsletter. I kind of phased out of that when the podcast started because a lot of those updates that I would do in a monthly newsletter, I will talk about on the podcast. So I didn't want to be too redundant. That's another thing I may bring back. I may do a summer series of just weekly emails just to stay kind of in contact and up to date with everybody and share what I'm doing in my wellness and in my life this summer. Social media, there is a chance that I could be a little bit more active on social media. This summer, I've not been very active on social media outside of posting what we need to so you know what's coming down the pipeline and what podcast episodes are launching. I really haven't. And again, our life, I'm trying to say full instead of busy, if anyone's caught that, because I think busy can be this kind of this badge of honor that we wear for just spinning our wheels. My life has been very full. It's been all good things, but it has been full. And so one thing that I have said no to so I can say yes to some of the full things in my life is social media. I haven't really posted a whole lot, haven't been on there a whole lot because when I'm home and I really don't like to have my phone out. I've even gotten to a place where at night I turn my Wi-Fi off and my phone on airplane mode until about 6:30 or 7 the next day because I can't fit it all in. And that's something that feels really good to say no to for me. But because I'll have more space in my life and a little bit definitely a lot of slowdown because sports in school with the kids is not going to be a thing. Social media, I'll probably be a little bit more active on there, but the email list and our emails is the best place to find me. I think I'll make sure it's in the show notes. We have a free journal prompt that you can get if you sign up for our email list, and it gives you a really, really great jumpstart PDF that you'll be sent getting started or getting reinvigorated with your wellness journey. So we'll put that in there if you're not on the email list, because that's definitely where all of the fun, exciting updates, I don't know if it's fun or exciting, but that's where updates will come through. And I think that's about it. I made notes today, so I didn't just ramble, but studio updates, potential podcast changes, definitely give me your feedback on that. Some of the things that I plan on doing this summer with my family, like just some hopes and wants, how to stay in touch with me, stay plugged in with all things art and yoga and wellness, whether it be business or happenings or changes or the podcast. So make sure you're on our email list. And then I'm going to try to be a little bit more active on social media this summer. And then I think lastly, I do want to say this. If you love the kind of FaceTime experience, I do. I've said it, I'll say it again. I'm a huge YouTube fan. I just like YouTube instead of Facebook or Instagram. But all of the full videos of the podcast are on our YouTube channel and shorts. And our production team does a fantastic job. If I cough or if I pause too long, they clean it up. It's so well done. And so if you're just like, hey, I want to hang out with you. I'm cleaning my house or I'm doing something or I don't have anything good to watch, come on over to YouTube, guys, because all of the videos for the podcast are on there and you can get a little FaceTime with me. All right, you guys, that is all I have for today. I'm going to go to the gym because I'm determined to get there before the pickup line. Let me know if you have any questions, if there's anything that I talked about that wasn't super clear, or if I left anything out. And if I don't see you or talk to you as much on the podcast this summer, it just means that we're just, spreading things out a little bit. But I'll definitely be around via social media and via email on our email list. So I will talk to you guys later and have a great rest of your day. Bye.